Welcome everyone to another devlog. For those who don't know, since the start of this year, I have been working on a little game I am currently calling Presence. It is a 2D based tile strategy game with roguelike elements. The gist of it is you explore a tile-based world with a random generation and try to get as far as you can without dying. And if you die, you start over. Kind of similar to Risk of Rain, Binding of Isaac, those kind of games. In the last devlog, we added items to the game in an attempt to give the player a reason to actually play the game, because before, there was no reason to play the game. You would explore, but there was no reward to do so. In this devlog, we are going to be adding, or at least trying to add, skills and or abilities, whatever you want to call them, to the game to help make it more fun, the actual gameplay. We're hoping by doing this will make first the game more fun, second the game more strategic and require the player to be a little more engaged, because right now it's just a bunch of mouse clicking. Click your character to go to here, click that character to attack that character. It's just not very interesting. So that is going to be our main goal for this devlog. Quick little plug, if you didn't know, I have a community Discord where I post announcements about future devlogs and development of my game Presence. I post random screenshots in there of game development and all kinds of things. So if you're interested, go click the link down in the description. In a similar fashion to the last video, our first issue to tackle is how will the player interact with this new skills system? I simply expanded upon the already present menu I have for combat, so you have your attack button and your wait button that shows up when you move your character. I simply added a skills button between them, where when you click it, it will give you a list of all the active skills you're allowed to use, and you simply click that button and you'll start using that skill. Now for the actual concept of skills. So I want to go about it several different ways. Firstly, how will players get skills? The first ideas I have at the moment are for each weapon that you have, when you have it equipped, that weapon will give you a skill. So there will be weapon skills for all the weapons in the game. In addition, there will be skills that you will gain as you progress through your class. And these will be in two separate categories. You'll have your active skills, which you can use in combat, and then you'll have your passive skills that will give you nice bonuses and a distance in the background. In this video, we're mainly focusing on the weapon skills, because we can't really work with the class skills until we add another piece to the puzzle for that. And mainly the active side of things. So this is going to be a little fun. The main challenge with adding the skills is I need to make it both easy to interact with for the players, as well as make it easy to expand upon for me, because I have to add a lot of freaking skills to this game. And so I want to make sure I can make this kind of easily expandable. After a few hours of coding, I think I've got something that'll work. In my code, all I have to do to really add a new skill is just make a new script and then tell it which tiles it will be using based on where the player is directing their mouse. So for some skills, this will be oriented around the player and then shooting those tiles in front, behind, to the sides of the player. Or for Fireball, for example, it will follow the player's mouse cursor over the tiles and show which tiles will get affected. To finish off this segment, I did add one more little thing to spice it up. When you do end up doing your skill, a little skill icon appears over your character to just show what skill you were using. I think it's a nice little visual touch, which kind of adds a little more impact to it. There's a few more visual impact ideas I have though, but we're going to save those for later. So, the next piece of the puzzle was adding skills for the NPCs, or the enemies, to make them a little more interesting, a little more dynamic in combat. But after a few days of trying to do that, I just couldn't get it to work. You have to understand that the way enemies or NPCs interact with skills and like combat is entirely different from how the player interacts with them, and I can't figure out the system right now. It's just not working. There's a lot of bugs, a lot of issues I'm running into, and so we're going to have to move that idea to its own separate devlog. Probably me overhauling the enemy AI. So look forward to that. But next up, we've got a few more visual flares I want to add to the skills, and then that'll probably wrap up this devlog. So, to add some visual flair to some of the skills, I made an entirely new projectiles system, where when you, say, cast Fireball or cast Seeking Missile, you, in addition to doing the skill's effects, see a little visual of either a fireball or some kind of projectile shooting across the screen to where you clicked. I think this just adds a little bit of visual impact to the skill, makes it a little more satisfying to see it travel across the screen and land. The way the projectiles move is very similar to how the characters move, or the character moving animation is. We simply do basic math between what tile the projectile is coming from and the tile that it's headed to. So you do that math, and then with a little bit of division, you can change the speed, which it will change its X position and its Y position on the game. And then it just loops and slowly moves itself to that position until it meets it. And once it does, it stops the animation. This also applies for ranged weapons, so if you shoot a bow and arrow, you will see a little arrow fly across the screen towards the target that you fired at. To help make certain spells more impactful, I added elemental effects to the actual tiles of the map. So when you cast Fireball, it will actually light those neighboring tiles on fire. So if anyone enters those tiles, they will be lit in flames. I think this is a fun little thing, as it adds a little more dynamic flow to combat, as it changes how you have to play, and it makes it a little more strategic on where you want to go, and whether you just want to use Fireball to make tiles on fire, and maybe not just do damage. So I think this is a very neat system. In addition, I made it so some skills add certain bonuses to your hit chances for attacks. For example, Long Slash, which you get from using a sword, allows you to hit 3 tiles at once. But, as a drawback, you lose 10 to 20% accuracy on those chances to hit. I'm deciding on the number, somewhere in that range, which kind of helps to balance it out, since some skills only affect 2, some affect 1. Having this affect 3 and having it be a little less accurate, I think will balance it out a little bit. And to finally put the final touch on the skills system, we added skill cooldowns. So, quite simply, when you use a skill, it will be given a cooldown for a certain number of turns in combat. So, for example, Long Slash Fireball, when you use those skills currently, you have a 2-turn delay before you can use them again. These will probably get edited based on the strength of the skills, between 2 to 8, something. We'll see how it goes down the road. But just so you can't keep spamming skills, I figured you probably are going to need some skill cooldowns. I added this into the UI by very simply just putting a little number next to the skill in the skills list that shows you how many turns of cooldown it has left before you can use it once more. And the final thing for this devlog is addressing something you guys brought up from the last one. So, the blue background, it is dreadful, I know, and you guys brought it up to me in the comments, so thank you guys. The main way I'm going to deal with it for now is simply have a background tile map for each area that will just kind of satisfy the blue and cover it up. So for the forest area, I'm just going to have trees surrounding the actual map, which I think will be okay. So far it looks decent. Let me know if you have any other ideas or suggestions. But with that will wrap up this devlog. If you have any ideas or any suggestions, be sure to leave it in the comments down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a like. I just want to say thank you to you all for the incredible support. Hitting 100 subscribers was kind of crazy. It was my first major goal here on the tubes, and hitting it was kind of surreal. So thank you guys. I'm excited to see where this journey goes, and I will see you all in the next devlog. For this devlog, everything you saw added to the game took about 5.5 hours, probably a couple hours give or take. So less than the last one. So I don't know, interpret that how you will.